me, I've sown complete confusion, starting in my head, and managed to transmit it around. Really proud of myself. Of course I meant I'm streaming today. Of course I did. I'll just move these out of the way. I think I'll just move them on the floor, actually. That's better. Of course I meant today. Just because I didn't say today, just got a bit mixed up between whether it was Wednesday or Saturday. I'm still a bit baffled that it isn't Saturday. You see, the thing is, why it gets confusing for me is this. I stream to one of my Make It Personal groups on a Monday, and then I do a public stream 2 days later on a Wednesday. I know this doesn't make sense now. I was going to say, and then I stream to my other Make It Personal group on a Friday and do a public stream 1 day later on a Saturday. So they are different, so that's no excuse. So that's bollocks as well. Just take no notice. Hi, everybody. Hi, Sue. Hi, Anne-Marie. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Julie D. I can see you. Well, you've done very well to come here, despite the fact that I just put a bit of misinformation out this morning. But, you know, if you can't start a day with a bit of misinformation and a bit of confusion about what day it actually is, I don't see why. I don't think life's not worth living, is it? I was far too busy recording Milo. Busy at the window again with a new window. That was really exciting. Hi, Gina. And Ammo, only you would notice, I'm sure other people did as well. The snots all over the window. Yes. Snotties, we do have snotties on virtually every window, well, every window that Milo can see out of. Snotties at nose height. Hi, Pam. Hi, Louise. Hi, Zoe. Hi, Meep. Yes, evening over there in New Zealand. I have to say, just to reassure anybody else that is only still at this stage, I didn't get any further. You are, yes, Anne. You are. Just ignore me. I'm going to stream every Wednesday, every Saturday. If I'm not going to, I'll give you plenty of warning that I'm not going to. I think that's the best way for us to go with it, because I get myself so completely... I know I had to as well when somebody said, because I was having a conversation with somebody, and I said, yeah, but it's Saturday, isn't it? You know, Saturday streams, remember? And they said, yeah, but it's not Saturday, it's Wednesday. Ah. Yes, okay, well, there you go. So as far as if I hadn't had that conversation, I would still be here thinking it was Saturday morning and be getting the shock now of discovering that, in fact, it isn't Saturday morning at all. It's Wednesday, but there you go. You know, you kind of... we're all in lockdown now, so all days seem the same. But when you teach at the weekends, and your husband also does, there aren't really weeks. You just get yourself a little bit mixed up. Hi, Gillian. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Anne. Yeah, it's gorgeous weather down in the southwest. I hope it is everywhere else. We've had sun for, several days in a row now. Gosh, doesn't it make a difference to how you feel about it? You know, even if you're inside and just looking out the window, it just makes you feel so much more cheerful. Hi, Zoe. Hi, Pat. There she is. Hi, Fee. I'm getting really good. I'm getting Fee Bowman pronounced right. Ammo House. You know, I'm obviously going into a new level of maturity, but not regarding days. So if we can just have an agreement that I stream at about 11 to 11:15, probably, well, we'll say... We'll say 11, which means 11:15, because if we say 11:15, it'll be 11:30, because I'm just always late. So we'll say 11 on Wednesdays and Saturdays, unless I've said otherwise. And I would put up a post, a very clear post, assuming I knew what day it was, if I wasn't going to. But I can't really, it would only be if I'm ill. Or Stephen was ill, or the dog's ill, or something like that. So, because there's not much else going on, is there? You know, it wouldn't be that kind of, decided to go off for the day, or, we've got visitors. That's not going to happen. Yes, I'm impressed with myself, Ammo. After all these many years, I've finally got your name right. Hi, Dorothy. And Fee. I mean, gosh, yes, I'm in a new world. So here we are. It is Wednesday. It's not Saturday. And we're going to, I haven't got any further with these. I absolutely love them. I just haven't had a chance to... Did I do a bit more stitching on this last week? I can't remember. No, I don't think I did. No, that was the one I was starting, wasn't it? That's that one. I do absolutely love these, but I know it's going to take me quite a while. If I had some time, it would be a few days of stitching, but I haven't. But it's going to be so nice. So I'm keeping that. I'm quite happy to have all of these as nice... a project when I've got an hour or two to stitch, to just set up a machine. That's what I need to do. Dorothy's waving. I need to just set up a machine, actually put these next to it, and then when I've got half an hour, I could sit and get some done. But it's going to be beautiful, so I'm really happy with that. But I wondered where all my cutting mats were. There you are, there's one. There's one straight away. So now I've got two down here. Oh, and a tape measure in there as well. Amazing what you find in your piles. So here I have all the scraps and bits left. That's actually not backed. So let's sort them straight away into backed and non-backed. And I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do here. I'm being totally honest. I really haven't. Oh, great stuff. Good. I'm glad, Kay. We're doing our best. We're I think some parcels are going later. We have a box outside that we're leaving the stuff for Hermes in, and he just collects it. We don't think he came yesterday. And my guess is after the Easter weekend they will probably completely run under again. You know, sometimes he's a day late. But we do keep posting out, so hopefully you will get things. They just may not be as prompt as normal. So this really is off the top of my head because A, because I'm no good at planning, but B, because I think it's quite important to remember that you can just make stuff up, you know, because you can feel, particularly in a situation like lockdown, where you can't get hold of stuff. Lots of the shops are shutting. You know, Barnyard's shut recently, and I don't really know what's open and what isn't, but it's quite possible you can't get hold of things. And so you haven't got a pattern and you think, oh, I don't know what to do. Well, most of the time I just make it up. And you, like me, will have a background knowledge of all sorts of bits of patchwork and quilting, embroidery, possibly dressmaking, maybe soft furnishing making, and you can just pull on all of those to kind of think through, well, what could I do? So don't worry about not having a pattern. So this is completely off the top of my head, and I'm just thinking, to begin with, I'm going to sort out fabrics that have got backing on them and those that haven't. Most have. And they're the ones I'm going to use, I think. Oh, there's an interesting little bit on felt. No good to me because I hate throwing away. Even a strip like that on felt, I can think, that's quite interesting. Well, actually, that isn't quite interesting. That's not a good example. I'll find you an example that's good. That one isn't either. And nor is that. But there's bound to be no, there isn't. There won't be a good example now. Nope, that one isn't either. So all these are on heat and bond. So all these strips are sticky, which makes this very easy to use. In fact, I think there's only the fabric that I pulled out for the backing. Some spare squares. That's nice. I must have cut more than I needed. That's nice. Oh, that's right. I stopped at 12. I could have done 16, couldn't I? And I didn't. So I've got all these ones still backed. Whole great big pieces. I've got strips here. Now, obviously, with the whole great big pieces, I've got masses of options, haven't I? Because I've got really big bits here. But these were the dull ones. Well, that's not very dull, is it? Actually, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Am I counting right? Let's count that again. 1, 2, 3. Let's play counting this morning. 4, 5. Is Jill there? Because Jill likes this game. Jill's good at counting. Jill's learnt to count very, very nicely. Hi, Susanna. Hi, Mari. Hi, Anne. Empress Mill's still open. That's good. That's good to know. Janice, Heidi, Nikki, lots of people. Right, counting again. So if Jill's there, Jill, we're practicing counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jill has, of course, finished her quilt. That's Jill for you. That's Jill for you. When she gets the bit between her teeth, she's off and running. And she's put some pictures. I think after today's stream, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a group that we can all post progress pictures in, so that we're all in one place, because some of you are posting on my page, some are posting in Reasons to be Cheerful 1, 2, 3, all of which is fine, but it'd be really nice if we had a place that was collected for these streams. So I'm going to open it for images, but I'll still stream on this public page so that new people can always find it. So counting again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jill can't be there, she said something rude back. 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. There is 8. So I've got 8 full pieces, some nice strips, and I have got these rather nice, that one's very similar tones. I haven't got much left of this blue, have I? It's a shame. I thought I'd got another whole, just hold hard, hold flipping hard. I have got a whole piece of that blue left. That was that lovely big stencil. I remember doing that a couple of years ago. And it does go rather nicely with those as a contrast, doesn't it? It does go rather well. So I might just back that piece too. Do I do that or don't I do that? Do we do that? Oh, you see we've got some nice, we could back these strips. Do we just back the strips? Do we just back the strips? I mean, we've got a lot of strips. Actually, that would be a good thing to do because I can show you how you can do that. Okay, that's a useful thing to show you. So if you've got scraps like this that aren't backed. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Diane. Scraps like this that aren't backed, it's quite useful to know how to just get them onto Heat and Bond without having to do each one as a tiny separate thing. So let's do that. That'd be quite a useful thing. Let's get some of these unbacked scraps onto Heat and Bond. So we need... Ah, she's here. Jill. You missed it. We were practicing counting. Look, let's go. Are you ready, Jill? So here we go. Jill's been getting really good at counting since she's got here, and spelling. We've been doing both, but mostly counting. Counting bottles of paint and counting pieces of deli and layout paper. Her favourite job. Her favourite job. In fact, I should be posting those over to you, getting them delivered to you, and you could send them to me all counted out because you must be missing that. I won't count them again. Yes, I will. No, she knows. Yeah, right. Well, no, shut up, Hilary. Just shut up. Get your Heat and Bond. Get some caffeine down you and get some Heat and Bond. Right, so what we're going to do... Well, you've missed a counting lesson. That's all I can say, Jill. You've missed a counting lesson and your name being used completely in vain, I'm afraid. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Sherry. Right, let's get this. Ye olde Heat and Bond. And let's put out... So when you've got strips like this that aren't backed for whatever reason, you don't have to do them one at a time. Lay them out onto... So I've got the Heat and Bond shiny side up. So this is glue side up. Tip you down a bit so you can see better. Right, so this is glue side up. I'm putting my fabrics right side up. So I'm putting the back side of the fabrics to the glue side of the Heat and Bond. Oh, hang on, we've got another Princess in the Pea job going here. There's always a Princess in the Pea. What's under here? Something is. Oh, and it's miles down. Hang on, it's under the drop cloth. What is it? What is that? Hang on. I think it is a wrinkle in a sheet. I think I am that sensitive. I am like the Princess in the Pea. I am just like the Princess in the Pea. I have that princess type sensitivity. That's better. Gosh, it was just a wrinkle in a piece of fabric. And yet, the princess could feel it. Right, so these are going on. So you want the wrong side of the fabric to the glue. So this is kind of the reverse of how you would normally do this. If you think normally we put on Heat and Bond by putting the fabrics right side down, taking the Heat and Bond and Bond-A-Web and putting it like that onto the back of them, which is fine if you're doing one piece. But if I was trying to do these, it's going to get just too complicated to sort them out. So if you take your Heat and Bond and put it out... Oh, great stuff. Good news. I have managed to get another bolt of fabric, so we're in fabric. Well, that was something I was going to just, this probably isn't the time to ask, but anyway, she just throws it in as a thought. That is me, Gina, off to a T, a delicate little flower. The tiniest little crease, and I'm in agony. It's because I haven't got enough covering on me, really. No, not enough covering on my bones. Yes, whether you would like, somebody asked me about, they'd got fabric prepared for dyeing, PFD. Don't be deceived by that. It does not mean it's got soda ash in it. It really doesn't. I think there's one company that say that it does, but I really don't think it does. I don't think it does because it couldn't be that smooth. If you had soda ash in the fabric, it would be coming to you with some wrinkle in it because you can't hot iron soda ash fabric because it would scorch. So, oh, excellent, that's good. But we can just make this up, guys. We can just make this up. So, PFD simply means the fabric's been pre-washed. That is all it means, nothing else. It's just been pre-washed. The size has been taken. All fabric, when it's new, has a size in it that comes from the production, and it means it's been pre-washed to scour that out. That's all. It does not mean it's been soda soaked. You still need to soda. Soak the fabric. So one of the things I've been thinking about is whether there would be a market for or a demand for, how much hassle is that? If it isn't a hassle, I mean, soda ash is cheap. But if whether there would be a demand for pre-soaked, genuinely pre-soaked soda fabric, because it will last. The thing about it is it would come to you slightly wrinkled, because there's, you know, I can iron it, but only on a cool iron. So that was an interesting thought I had, and I'd be interested in any feedback on that, whether that's something that you find easy to do or a nuisance. Right, so we're putting these on basically wrong side down to the heating bond, okay? So I'm putting them down like this basically so that I can see where they are and work out how I want them. I still haven't decided yet what I'm going to do with these, but that suits me fine. I'm quite happy to just moither away with things until I have ideas without worrying too much. No, there's no need, Sherry. Just get it straight into the soda solution. No need to wash it. Oh, that's a pre-backed one. I'm just heating up the iron here and just knocking a few bits on the floor. Really. Oh, bugger. Oh, bugger. Sorry about that. Just, no, the stuff that comes, you don't need to, because basically putting it in the soda takes most of the size out. Jill, shut up. Yeah, well, you can take some litmus paper, not litmus paper, pH paper, no idea what you're talking about, Jill, but you can do that. But I don't actually think anybody sells, that I'm aware of, pre-soaked soda fabric. Because I don't know of anybody delivering slightly wrinkly fabric. Jill, in case you didn't know, it is a science teacher, or was a science teacher, so you'll always get these kind of, ask her a question. And I'm missing her being here, actually, because she says so many things where I just think, I haven't got the faintest notion what you just said, but gosh, that sounds lovely. It did make me laugh, and I've been missing that. I've been missing those sorts of responses. So I'll say, we'll be mixing paint, and I'll say, oh, you know, something like, I don't know, the paint seems a bit runnier, something like that. And Jill says something that I can't repeat it to you because I've no idea what she said usually. And I just think, wow. Don't know what you said, but that sounded really, really clever and good, and I'm sure it's true. I'm sure it's true. Oh my God, there's another one. Yeah, well, okay. The paper used for checking swimming pools, another thing that I know masses about. I don't think Doughty's is pre-soda soaked. I've heard this. Is it wrinkled, Stella? Is it wrinkly or is it smooth? Like new? Does it look like new smooth fabric? So I know you had this, Lee, didn't you? Actually, Lee, you're there. You had pre-soaked fabric from Doughty's. Was it actually genuinely pre-soaked? It's wrinkly. Hang on, let me ask one question. Is it, no, answer, Stella, give me the answer, wrinkly or smooth? I asked one of those clever questions, you know, is it wrinkly or smooth? And you've answered yes. Thank you. That's what I think it is. I do think Doughty's has been washed, but I don't think it's soda soaked. I think you'll be disappointed. I think you'll just get a huge wash out of dye. Hi, Bonnie. Now, Bonnie, don't start. We don't want you New Zealand girls, you and me, lowering the tone here, thank you. Oh, really? Just tell him to be quiet, honestly. It helps clean the line. If you think of washing soda, it's a really good cleaner, isn't it? So I'm now deciding how many of these tiny strips I'm actually going to put on here. I mean, it's very hard for me to throw away stuff like that. I mean, like that, for instance. In fact, that, well, now, that's a very long strip. I'm waiting for, it's smooth. I don't think that's got soda in it, because I just don't see how you could get it back smooth. I don't see how you could get it back smooth. I just don't, because you can't iron it. You can iron it cool and you can get it sort of flattish, but you would know because you would still be able to see wrinkles in it. So I don't think I don't think it really is soda soaked. I think it's PFD, and I think they think that that means it's soda soaked. What it actually means is, I don't think they're purposefully deceiving anybody. I think they just don't know themselves, and what they mean is they're buying it. They're probably buying it as PFD. Yeah, you could try the scorch test. It's always a good one. But I would, for the cheapness of soda, I don't think that's been soaked. So if I wasn't sure, I'd always soak. Because if you put the dye in, rinse, and it all comes out, although you can redo it, it is so massively disappointing. Hang on, girls, I need a pair of scissors. Can't believe I'm here without a pair of scissors. Got a rotary cutter, just need some scissors. Scissors, there we go, there's a couple. I'll get a couple of pairs on the basis that I'm almost certainly going to use them. So all I'm doing here is just, oh, they're crap, is filling this space with scraps. So I'm working from the front, and I'm actually putting on, yeah, they're still crap. Why don't I just leave them alone? I'm actually putting on some quite skinny ones here because I think I might as well, and I know I like using these in collages. Even a mangle wouldn't get it flat. There's a difference between, think of the difference on watercolour paper between a rough finish and a smooth finish. The smooth finish literally has, as fabric arrives normally from a manufacturer, it has no wrinkles, it has nothing, it is smooth. If it's like that, I don't see that it can be soda soaked. I just don't think it can be, because it doesn't function like that. Right, I'm going to call that it. Now what I need now is a piece of the paper from the back of here. So just bear with me a second and I'll find one. Hang on. I've always assumed it's just been scoured. I think it is. PFD definitely just means just scoured. And I think the only company I know of that's causing a bit of confusion with this, because I've heard, I think, from Lee before, is Doughty's. And I think they're just a bit mixed up themselves about what they've got. They'll be buying PFD from somewhere and being told this is prepared for dyeing, and then somebody said, yes, I think so. I think so. So then, just utilising a happy audience here to get some feedback. I mean, I'd much rather not, to be honest with you. It's easier for me to just send out pots of soda, which are very cheap, and fabric. But on the basis that I would also like to get everybody feeling that dye is easy to use, so it can be pre-mixed very easily, would there be a demand, do you think, for literally pre-soaked fabric? And bear in mind that fabric would arrive with you looking wrinkly. Oh, did we have a nice typo somewhere there? I like a typo. I missed it. What a shame. Oh, soated. Oh yes, soated. Sober soated. Sober soated, a completely different thing. Now, let me concentrate for a minute. So I've basically ironed all these from the front. Now, because the glue's under here, and normally you iron from there, you won't get a strong adhesion from here. Almost what you'll get is like that. Whoa, there, no, it's the coffee nearly going. It's a bit like they're tacked on. And you can then, I'm just going to cut my piece, because I'm working from a big bolt of Heat and Bond. You can then just put, so this is Heat and Bond release paper, i.e. this is a piece of Heat and Bond that has already been used, and I've kept the backing paper when I've pulled it off, so you'll see that in a minute. Right, okay, thank you. That's what I want to know. I was sitting at dinner, as you do, discussing these things, and trying to decide whether that was something that people would actually want, or whether, I don't know how much of a hassle it is. I mean, I just soak a lot of meterage at once and keep it so that I've got it. You know, I've got a nice pile of wrinkly fabric over there. Because it's wrinkly, I know it's soda soaked and it's ready to go. So what I've got here, I love to throw a completely different subject in while we're going, just to sort of add elements of, it's confusion really, isn't it? Good elements of confusion. So what we've got here is we've got the Heat and Bond, glue side up, fabric on top, right side up. So the back side of the fabric to the paper. another thing, would it be useful if I wrote on the top of the Heaton Bond pots, soda ash pots, the recipes? Because I could do that. Yes, exactly. Stella, you've just asked that. Should I write that on the top of the pots? Because they're quite nice big pots. And I could easily write on the top, it's 9 tablespoons in a gallon or 9 teaspoons in a litre for soaking. And you don't need to throw that water away. So when you're, right, yes, I think that would be useful too. If you get a bucket with a pot, and I mean, I use the ones that have poultry manure or blood, fish and bone, or bone meal, gromor, any of those things. Right, okay, yes, that one, the recipe. Because that's the bit we forget, isn't it? That's the bit you get it out and you think, oh, bloody hell, I can't remember how much. Right, okay, we'll do that. We'll put the recipes on top, and I'll do the same on Manutex. Yeah, if you get a bucket with a lid, label it on the lid, and I also have the recipe written on the lid of my bucket too, so that, you know, I've got a double whammy. You can then make up the solution, 9 tablespoons to a gallon, mix it all up, soak your fabric, wring it out. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain, that. So yes, we'll put it on the we'll put that on the pots. And then that will keep. So just soak your fabric, get it out, put the lid on, and I just keep mine, and have done for years, under the sink. And it says soda soaking solution on it, just in case, well, I don't know, just in case Stephen thinks, oh, handy bucket, throws mine down the sink and wanders off everywhere. Hi, Maggie. 9. No. If you're going to use the spritzer method after, you only need to do that if you haven't soaked. So if you have pre-soaked your fabric, you're fine, good to go. If you've forgotten to pre-soak or just too enthusiastic, can't bother to wait, you can spritz it afterwards. But an English gallon, yes, 8 pints. And it's rough in my house. And in my house, it's kind of 4 litres-ish. Because that's the jug I've got, and a litre is roughly 2 pints, so it's pretty rough. And soda ash is so cheap, I always just stick in an extra tablespoon just in case. I'd rather it was overfixed than underfixed. If you're going to spray the solution on afterwards, I would double that recipe. So I wouldn't make a gallon of spraying solution, I make it in litre sprayers from IKEA, or from the garden centre, or anywhere else you can get them from. And I put 9 teaspoons in that litre, and that works quite nicely. No, you could ask that question even if you'd been here the whole time. What am I talking about? People frequently do. What am I talking about? No idea. Started this morning by being on completely the wrong day of the week. At the moment, we are doing 2 tasks. One is the task that we're supposed to be doing, which is working with the scraps, and the other is we're having an offside discussion about soda soaking fabrics, and how you do it, which is where we are at the moment, on the soda soaking of the fabrics. So the easiest way and the most reliable way is pre-soak your fabric. Have a bucket of soda solution all the time. When you get some new fabric, pre-soak it. It won't do it any harm, and it's there ready to use. If you've forgotten, if you make up a double strength solution, so I would use 18 teaspoons in a litre then, in a litre spray bottle. It sounds a lot, and it is, but that's a really strong solution. And spray that onto the cloth after you've added the dye. What I do is add the dye, let it dry, and then I re-wet so that I know I've got plenty of soda solution in there. Re-wet it from both sides with that soda solution, then batch it, just the same as we did. So I can put both those recipes onto the pot, because I've got nice white pots you can write on. And then you're on your pot. And as I say, I write them on the bucket as well. Just in case you've got soda from somewhere else and it hasn't got a label on, write it on your bucket lid, and then you can't go wrong. You're good to go. So focusing back now onto what we're meant to be doing. So here we have Heat and Bond, glue side up, fabric right side up. So the back side of the fabric is towards the glue of the Heat and Bond. This is Heat and Bond release paper, the paper from some Heat and Bond I've already used with the glue off it. The only thing that Heat and Bond won't stick to is its own backing paper. It will stick to anything else. It will stick to baking parchment. It'll stick to deli paper. So use this. Oh, right. Princess, I'm still impressed about my the sensitivity of me to little wrinkles and things. So I've got that sandwiched up. I've ironed it from this side, and that's given a kind of loose bonding, but to get a good bonding, I need to turn it over. So keep that release paper there on the top and turn it over. If you put this without that paper there down, it will glue to whatever, the bits where the glue's showing will glue to whatever you have it on. So just turn it over like that and then press from the back, and then you will get a really good bonding. I love how long it's taken us to get through this. 40 minutes and we've managed to iron the scraps down. Well done us, well done. Still, we've had interesting whoa, what's that? Well, that's a bit of blue paint on my iron. Ah, that's because there's a bit of blue paint on the back of here and it's streaked on my iron. It's quite pretty, that, look. Might photograph that. Could be the beginning of an abstract composition, that, couldn't it? The irons I use in the studio are heat tools as far as I'm concerned. I don't think of them as irons, so I don't really worry too much about doing stuff like that to them. It doesn't matter. The only time it does matter is if they start smoking and then they set the smoke alarms off. So we now have, put that piece of paper up there and keep it. We now have this covered in our strips, and if you get one corner and peel it up, you can usually, that's going to come off there, if you go carefully, get one edge going, how many strips you got, you can peel all this lot off as one big chunk. Okay, that middle bit there, because it's 3 pieces, is coming off separately. Those are coming off separately, and so is that. But you can see the strips are coming off together. That means so I haven't cut up the backing paper first. So I get, this is what I'm calling the release paper. So this is the backing paper, the heat and bond. And this is now, I can now keep this with the other one. And I have papers that I can use for pressing heat and bond because they won't stick to those. So I've now got these. The heat and bonds on the back, I can see it's plasticky. And so I'm going to pull these apart and not worry too much about if there's huge amounts of glue between them, I'll take them off, but there aren't on this because it was stripped, they went fairly easily. So those are just going to go so much quicker than doing each one separately. So there I have a nice pile of those blue fabrics, all with heat and bond on, and those other blue scraps, it's going to grieve me to do this. Find this very difficult to do, but I am going to put those in the bin because they really are tiny. Okay, so back to it, girls, back to it. What are we going to make? So we've got some nice pale blue. We've got all these, these, and I've got the big pieces. So I need to decide, first of all, I think, do I want to make something else out of those big pieces first? Do I want to, I mean, I've got 8 there. I could probably make another throw out of those, couldn't I? Why don't we cut out some squares from the big pieces first. Oh, look, there's another. More strips. Oh, look, more. Oh, heavens. Loads more. Oh, look at all of these goodies. Look at them all. Look at them all. Those were hiding, weren't they? So I have got quite a mass of scraps, haven't I? I'm going to, first thing I'm going to do, checking the time. Okay, I'm going to cut some squares out of these so that I've got some pieces that I could use to make something bigger before I start mushing them up. So I've got my square ruler, is the most useful. Let's go for a different size square. Just so that you can see, we can do this process with different sizes. You don't have to do it with, I did it with 12-inch squares, but it can be with whatever you've got or whatever you want. So if your pieces aren't quite big enough, do smaller squares. So let's get, we were doing, I don't know why we did 4 at a time. What was the logic of 4 at a time? Can anybody remember back to stream 1? No, stream, whenever we cut the fabric. What was the logic of 4 at a time? Don't know, but it worked nicely, didn't it? I don't know if there was any logic, actually. There probably wasn't none in me. So that's the thinnest, smallest. Let's get that on top. And let's just cut some squares out of here so that we've got some squares to use. And let's have a look. Oh, this ruler is really hard for measuring. 12.5 and about 4. So I've got about 16. So if I do 8-inch squares, I can probably get a lot out of here. Let's do 8-inch squares and see what we get. Now, if I cut 8-inch squares, that's not how they're going to end up. They're going to end up slightly smaller, but I think we can go with that. So 8-inch squares. I'm going to start off by cutting a straight line across there with, oh, what size is that? What size is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. God, I've never these rulers on those. Could do 6.5 inch squares. No, let's do 8 inch squares. It's far more fun because I have to do thinking. And me doing thinking is always entertaining because I can't. So let's turn my mat that way. Oh, I've got a bigger mat, haven't I? Just remember the big boy. Here we go. Here we go. Here we are. That's much better. Shovel that under there. There we go. Right, okay. I love somebody saying to me, what are you doing? Good bloody question. What am I talking about? Anybody out there know what I'm talking about? And let's cut so we're just going to even at this end. Let's try and get it squarish as well. If you don't have a quilting ruler like these, it's definitely worth getting one. I suspect most of you do. Is that right, Liz? Is that what I thought? You see, it's absolutely genuine that I don't do much thinking and I don't retain it. I just make it up as I go along. I've learned that's a really good way to work because you don't have to worry then. So there's a couple of those, well, they're all worth keeping actually in my mind. So let's get the square. I just found that trying to hold information in my head, for me, this may not be true for you at all, but for me is stressful. So it's just so much easier not to. So let's get a straight line down here as well. Let's do that with this big ruler. So we can take the edges off here. So with a quilting ruler, all you need to do is just line up a line at the top and it will give you a square, a 90-degree square line coming down. So I now know, even though this isn't straight here, it is up there and that's what I need. So we've got some more strips. And now we can go in and cut. I'm going to change to my square ruler. And I use my rulers a lot, even though I very rarely, haven't for ages done this sort of more traditional type patchwork. Right, so I think we can get 8. So let's go with 8 inches. So it's an interesting number. And, you know, it would help if you manage to keep your piles flat so that you actually get 8 inches. Everything I do is a little bit body and inaccurate, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I'm going to trim it all at the end and life's too short to worry about it. So we're going for 8 inches across here. Do I mean that? No idea whether I mean it or not. I think I do, so let's go for it. There's probably an easier way of doing this. There's no doubt an easier way of doing this. You see, I could have cut all of this edge off. But anyway, never mind. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to worry. I used to read books that told me sensible ways of doing this. And I used to really enjoy reading them over breakfast and think, oh gosh, yes. And then I'd go and I'd have forgotten it 10 seconds later. And when I came to do it, I just, oh, sod it. There, you see, how happy does that make you? Look at that. Look at that. 4 lovely squares. There's something about a nice square, I think. Just a very pleasant size. Oh, this is going to work nicely. Look, I've got just nice amount left here to get another 8. And while I'm cutting these, I'm also sort of trying to think, what am I actually going to do with the scraps? I've no idea. I think I'm just going to go, I think I might go random. I think I might go completely random and see what happens, because that's actually really good fun. So here, might be able to cut this on the side. So an 8 by 8. Yes, yes. You shouldn't use it like this. I should turn it round and you can see the mash I'm making by not doing, by being lazy. Okay, I won't do that again. That was a bad plan, wasn't it? Okay, so now I've got nice scraps here too. Look, nice piles of some more from my scrap pile. But what it means is I know I'm getting some nice materials out of these. So I've got 4 8. I'm going to get another 16 blocks that I could use to make another piece, and one probably will for another throw. So that would be a throw that is, in fact I might do that. We could do that. We could look at cutting it a different way. Oh, decisions, decisions, decisions. Love having decisions. What was I going to say? Anybody know what I was going to say? I was definitely going to say something. Yes, so that's going to give me 16. So that would give me 4 by 4. 8 inches. That'll be slightly less, but near enough. 4x 32. It's going to give me about a 30-inch square throat, which is a nice size. So that's good. A bonus. You might not have scraps this big, but probably most of you have got fair scraps, I would think. Yeah, yes, quite. Don't watch Jill. She'll have found that use of my rotary cutter, as I'm sure you did too, Gina, fairly painful to witness. I'm sure both of you thought, what is she doing? What's she doing? Right, so let's get that lined up there. I bought this ruler, no, not this one, the one I have upstairs, which is one like this, 24 inch by 6, which is a really useful size ruler, actually. If you're only going to get one, I think that's a really useful size. My cutter is actually needs changing, and I've no idea where the blades are. It would, I should do that. Just hang on, let me see if I can see my blades. Ta-da! Wow! God, I'm impressed with myself there. Right, let's just sideline that and change the blade. Another good tip. Don't mess around. Oh, hi, Suzanne. From Denmark. There's probably, I don't know if Tina and Hannah are here, and Maria. I have a few Danes. I have a few Danes. There's a thing to say. Right, so don't battle on with a blunt cutter. Get the blade changed. Now, I never remember this, so I'm going to take it apart carefully so I can remember the order. That and that way on the back. I can't remember where I got these blades from, but they weren't that expensive, and it's always worth having spare blades. The middle comes out like that. That's on the top. Take the blade off. Put a new blade on. Do be careful. They are very sharp. Put a new blade on. And then line this little badger up. It needs to go through. I know it's on the back that it's important. Oh no, not like that. Not like that. Oh, not like that. Oh, I'm remembering Jill and I having quite a lot of fun with these rotary cutters, working out how to put a new one on. Cecilia, Sweden, hi. Hannah, yes, there we are. Hannah meet Susanna. Susanna meet Hannah. Right, here we go. Don't know if Maria's here. Hope she is. Right, let's screw that back up. So knives, needles, rotary cutters. Strong, good tip. Don't mess around with them when they're blunt. You just end up hacking things to pieces, and it's not worth it. So I'm going to put that blade into a spare jar, and I will wrap it up carefully later to get rid of it so that nobody gets sliced to pieces. Right. That's better. That was worth doing. You see, a good example from me of how to be a good girl. How to be a good girl and do things properly. Right. Okay. So I want it that way. I always get mixed up, and I always have to think about which way I want it to cut. Here we go. Right. So I'm looking for 8. If you have one of these rulers, this is Fiskars, and they do this. And in some ways it's useful. They put a 1/2 inch in orange round the edge as a seam allowance, so that, you know, if you're cutting a 12-inch square, you've got 2 1/4-inch seams on it. But it really baffles my brain up, that bit. So I have to think quite carefully to make sure I'm getting the right size. I'll quite often do it 1/2 inch too big, which is annoying. Anybody see what I did with that nice rotary cutter? So this should be a bit easier now. Oh my goodness me. A different world. And if I go across there, I can do that without moving things too much. I can put another 8 on there. I have moved them a bit, but not too much. Was that 8 on that line? No, that was a 7.5 on the line. No, that's an 8. That's an 8 on the line. Is that an 8 on the line? I think it is. I think it is. God, blimey, double cutting here. Very wise, Stella. I think so. because it's your time that's gone in when you've painted and dyed it. Don't, it's not worth the risk. I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. So don't take that risk. You're dead right. Right, let's just cut that extra off there. More scraps. Oh God, I've had a nice idea. I've gone and had a good idea, girls. I think I've had a good idea. Have I had a good idea? I'm sort of thinking of doing blocks with maybe some sort of simple flower cutout, and because the thing is, when you've got them like this, you can do anything you want. I was just thinking, well, gosh, you can do them curved piecing, dead easy, because we haven't got any piecing, we're just gluing. So you can really use these however you want to use them. Okay, I've got 16 now. Pretty pleased with that. Close your rotary cutter, particularly when you've got it nice and sharp. So I'm just thinking, oh, look at that contrast. Isn't that gorgeous? Loving those together. I'm just going to look whether I've got enough contrasts of colour to do what I'm thinking. Okay, I've actually got enough colours to actually get contrast everywhere. Sort of thinking I could cut a very simple flower out of these and then reverse them. I'll show you what I'm thinking. Now I'm trying to decide whether to cut this with scissors or with my rotary cutter. If I can do it with my rotary cutter, it means I can cut it in the middle, which would be nice. Can I cut a flower with a rotary cutter? Got to be honest, never tried. I might try on just a couple of sheets first, just for interest. Is there anything simpler I can do? I mean, I could just do some curved piecing. We could just do some curves. I mean, that would look nice because curved piecing looks nice. But now I've got it in my head, I fancy, that's not there. It's not there, so I can't show it to you. But somewhere, let's just pick the bucket. No. Yes. No. Yes. I fancy, that is so, seen a better way of doing it. So, something like that is so simple, isn't it? But could look quite nice on a throw. Really comes down to, can I cut a flower with a rotary cutter, I think. Let's, should I try on a piece that isn't one of my blocks? Cut template, they say, cut template. Who's that? Dorothy. Good point, Dorothy, good point. I think you know perfectly well, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to give it a bash and see what happens. It can't be that hard. I don't mind if they're not all, they do all need to be the same. They do all need to be the same. You're right, they do all need to be the same. Good thinking, Dorothy. Well done, that girl. Well, they do and they don't. As long as I put them, yeah. If they're not the same, I have to plan them for these two. So these two would be, or they'll be the same within the 4 that I've cut, but possibly not in the others. Use your leftover to cut your flowers. I could, to put them on top. I'm fancying seeing if I can reverse it, just because it's interesting. So let's just get a piece of, what can I cut a template out of? What have I got? I haven't got any, anything just a bit thicker than normal will do. Oh, there we are. Oh no, that's very thin stencil acetate. I thought that was a nice thick sheet. That's a huge sheet. You see, you believe me now that I'm doing it on the hoof, don't you? Yeah. Oh, that's a shame. It's a pity, but anyway, there we go. That is rather pretty. But anyway, this is a huge piece of let's just draw. This is some thick stencil acetate, and it's too thick actually for home use. It's too thick to cut. Let's just roughly mark where 8 inches is. And let's draw a template. So what sort of flower do I fancy? I know what I fancy because I always do. You know, nice big cherry petals. It's nearly coming off my block. That's okay, isn't it? And then I could stitch into that. I can do machine stitching into that to make it patterned. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I'm going to cut that out. I truly am, and I think this is really good for you to see. I am making it up. I am just making this up. There are other ways I could do it. As Meep says, I could applique on top. But I want to see, you know, let's imagine we're being in frugal times. I want to, God, that's going to be nice. It's plastic, but for a piece of collage sometime. I want to see how much, you know, this is a very frugal way. I know the words I'm struggling with. How much I can get out of one piece of fabric, because this is frugal, because there's going to be no overlapping. And if it doesn't work, then the flowers I cut out, I can applique onto other ones. Oh God, I've had another thought. Well, this is going to be interesting, girls. This is going to be a nice experiment to see what happens. This is how I love working. On the old hoof, making it up as I go along. Really good fun. It's just such good fun. I thought another way of doing this that could work as well. Right, okay. That's a very interesting piece of material for collage going on here, so I'm going to keep that too. Mixed media. Right, so I've got a nice template. It's a very pretty template, isn't it? I like that. So what I'm thinking is, on these, now obviously, unless I position it in exactly the same place on each, I won't have a full, so I either make some guide marks. Either make some guide marks, or I just cut 4 at a time and those 4 go with each other. I'm inclined towards the latter because I know me and guide marks, and it's not usually a pretty sight. But I could, on this side particularly, I could draw a line through the middle of the block and a line on here and line it up. Shall I do that? So if I put a line through here at 4 inches, I'm still making this up, so if it all goes wrong, that's why, because I'm just making it up. But it's good. I think we can get very paralysed by, she says as a teacher, by courses and teaching and stuff, into thinking there's right and wrong ways. There aren't. Everybody made everything up at some point, so there's no reason why it shouldn't be you. Now, if I position this where I'd like it on a block, and add a black line through this as well. I was trying to find a slightly finer pen. Add a black line through this that goes in line with that. Then I think I should be able to cut this so that each block is the same. Now I am going to try and cut this with the rotary cutter because it'll just be quicker because I can multiple cut. So let's have a try. Let's have a good snoot. Let's get one that's a bit of a different colour. Let's get that. Okay. Now I need to know where on that line it goes too, don't I? You didn't tell me that, did you? Come on, all you mathematicians, you're leaving me to work it out, but it does show that even somebody who really is useless at pre-planning and logic can work it out. And if I had forgotten or not realised, it wouldn't matter. It would be redeemable, everything is. So that's where I like it positioned. So let's put this line on too. And now I think it will have to be the same on every block, I think. Are you impressed? Jill Lamming, Gina Burgess, are you impressed by this amazing level of organisation going on here? No? And I think that will work either way. Yes, it will. God, I am so flipping clever. Could eat my own head. Now, if I wanted to keep this very still on here, which would be a good idea. Thank you, Jill. Thank you. I'm going to get some 505 spray. Absolutely always worth having a can of this. It will be reading 202 to you. But it is 505 repositional adhesive. I'm going to put a bit on the back of there, and that is going to hold this template. Whoa! Hold this template nice and still for me while I'm cutting, which I think's worth doing. Isn't this interesting? It's not remotely what I thought I was going to do this morning. Love that. Love it. Love it when I go off on something completely different. But this is going to be nice. This is another way of making blocks. So we're now on to our second throw. Thanks, Maggie. Amazingly sent. You should have seen the stencil pattern that I managed to devise with the year twos. That was amazing. They sat and watched, totally entranced, for about 45 minutes while I struggled with that. But hey, great stencil at the end. Okay. So I've just used some repositional adhesive to hold that lot together to see if I can cut this with a rotary cutter. Somewhere I have a smaller rotary cutter, but I don't know where that is, but we'll just see. It may well be possible. The other thing I could have done was draw around this template, of course. I think as long as my cutter's sharp, this will work. Coming out nicely. You can get, I suspect mine's upstairs, in what in theory is my own working space, it's just I never get there. You can get, excuse me. Oh, I thought of another way of doing something. There's two ways I can think of doing this. One is ultra efficient, the other's a bit less efficient, but yeah, one's going to make me 16 squares, one's going to make me 8. So let's have a think about it. But I could make more squares. I can see that because I could start chopping those up too. Oh, God. Excitement levels now getting high. Yeah, a little. It's not in here, is it? And if it is, actually, I don't even think it's sharp. No, I've got a gas, a soldering iron, some snap-off blades. No. Okay, never mind. We're bobbling away with this, okay, aren't we? This is okay. And I could use the rotary cutter to start it. That will be another way, and then go in with scissors. But that's okay, I think. There might be a few places where I just need to trim in the corners, like there. Let's get scissors that cut, shall we? Right, come on now, don't mess me around. I'm having a brilliant idea, don't spoil it. Okay, it's not very good in the corners, it has to be said. It's because I didn't want to slice through my template. So I've left it, I've sort of cut into the corners, but quite gently. That's okay. Okay, so now I have, this is only in 2 and I wouldn't want to cut more than 2 like this, I don't think at a time. So I've got 2 flowers and I've got 2 outsides. Now the most economical way to use these, I think, has to be like that and piece those back together. So I can stick that in there and I can put that in there, and I'm going to get reverses, and those have to match. The two that, when if I cut them together, they have to work together. And I would do, if I do it like this, I would do it exactly the same as I've done at the other one. I would go round this edge in either a triple stitch, probably in a double blanket stitch would work quite nicely. I know, it was quite amazing that, wasn't it? It was. Cut and shut Hillary, exactly, quite right. Or that's the most fabric economical way. The other way is I can just take this bit and put it over there, and I can take this bit and put it over there, and that will give me double thickness ones, but I'll only get half as many. Can you see that? So I'm going to cut a couple more and then think. Always cut then think, if you remember. That's my motto. Not think twice, cut once. cut twice, then have a good old think about it. Yes, I can. I can use the cutout straw of the flowers. Let's try cutting them with scissors, see if that was easier. So again, I'm just gonna slightly stick those together. This adhesive doesn't do any harm to anything. It's temporary. Really useful to have some though, just for holding things steady when you're doing something like this. Right, this might well still have a bit of stick on it. Enough for me to draw around. So let's try doing it this way. Ow, come on girls, you know I have to draw my lines. Oh, I nearly ballsed it right up. I nearly made a mess. Do you know, it wouldn't surprise me if I do. Should we take that off before it completely confuses me? Right, we'll have that and that. Okay. Boy, I wish I had a cup of tea. Just hopeful. Just hoping. Trouble is, he's getting deaf. Might need to shout it a bit louder. Oh, I wish I had a cup of tea. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And my coffee's empty. This is bloody tragic. Should have got him when I could hear him down the stairs. This is where Milo's no good. If he was a pigeon, I could just put a note on him and just send him up there. Okay, so drawing around this. This makes quite nice templates, does this plastic? Better for templates than stencils. Right, so this time I'm just going to start. I suppose I could try with a knife. Let's try with a knife, because I like using knives. I like a knife. It's something I enjoy. Now, we know the knives over here are pretty wrecked with paint, aren't they? Oh, no, that's quite a nice one. Let's try this. Let's see if it cuts with a knife. Might do. Oh, yeah. Better with a knife than the rotary cutter. Save the gardening. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, Jill slamming. There you see, Miss Slamming. If it's a sharp knife, I think you would need to keep your knife very sharp for this, and I doubt it's going to cut many, but that's okay. We'll see. Let's cut. Wasn't so happy second time round. Okay. I don't know, I think that might have been because I was over a wrinkle. What's happening here? It's coming out. Let's try. Always like to try things. Wooden stencil cutter storage. Oh, yes. Yes, it would. A stencil cutter. No, I was talking about completely different things, Sherry. I've done my usual, just thrown in a complete aside. Cutting a stencil with the year 2 MIPS. We were doing designing stencils, and I'm rubbish at designing stencils. That's why I've got it as part of the shop, you know, just to keep me on my toes. And this was one which was a particularly tricky one of how to make it actually work without it falling to pieces. And it did take me a long time and a lot of brain work, but I got there. I was massively impressed with myself. Right. That's not bad, to be honest with you. That's cut out as well as it did with the rotary cutter, if not slightly better. Maybe because I can get more accurate with a knife. I'm not sure. Anyway, we're out. What's going to be a burning question, and I doubt very much if I will get it accurate enough for this, is whether these flowers will fit in the other outsides or whether they have to go... I think it's because I'm working with it backed. You know, it's still got the Heat and Bond backing on it. So I think that is why it's cutting with a knife. That paper on it is giving it a grip, which allows the knife to hold. So these two, this is fun, isn't it? This is going to be a nice throw. and it's going to be so simple to make. Right, let's match it up. That one's the one that seems the easiest to me. So that's going to go in there. And that's going to go in there. Those look nice. That's worked. Now, here's a moment of truth. Can I take one from the other cut and put it in here? How accurate is my cutting? It's not bad. It's not quite, I have to say. It's not quite, but I could get away with that with some stitching around it. I could get away with it, but I think it's going to be better to choose my pairs and only change that round if it all goes wrong. So let's cut another. So that's one pair. That's another pair. Let's do another one. Because the beauty of doing it like this is that I'm going to get, this is fabric. Yes, it is. This is the fabric that we painted. We printed, we did with stencils. We did with fabric paint and stencils in the first stream, which will be back on the page. In fact, I need to label them all so we know we are. I have started labeling them. So stream 1, we were painting this fabric with fabric paint and stencils. And then stream 2, we put dye on top of that. And so this is homemade fabric. It's just plain white cotton with paint and dye on, and then backed with heat and bond. So I've got this paper on it. And this paper on it is letting it behave quite like, I'm just making sure that all of these have got a contrast. That would work with that. It's making it behave actually quite like a paper when I'm cutting it. It's interesting. I had 16 blocks and I now appear to have odd numbers. Have I cut 3 by accident? 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's 2 there. There's 3 there. 2. I cut 16 blocks, didn't I? We all saw me cut 16 blocks. I didn't chuck. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't chuck one over there. I can't get another one, but it's kind of irritating. Where's it gone? Who's stolen my flipping block? Right, 2, 2, 2. I prefer those 2 together, I think. Just trying to get combinations that I think look nice together. Where's your friend? Am I wearing a block? No. I cut 16. I know I did. How can it happen? It's not square. I know I was messing around and pulled down a bit off here, but I didn't put a square block up there. So somewhere, girls, somewhere around here is a block. Is a square piece of fabric. Let's check this again. Hang on, it's under my ruler. It's under my ruler. There's quite a few actually. There we go, there's quite a lot. Okay, so we don't want green and green. Green and blue, that's fine. Thingy and thingy. Now, those bright greens are very bright, so I'd like to put this, which is also a high contrast. I think that one's dark. That looks better in there. That looks better there. I've got that combination quite a few times, but I will have because I've got mostly greens. Right, okay, that's fine. And I'm having another thought as well, which I'll share with you in a minute. I think I'll do a few more of these first while I've actually got my brain in gear. Call Detective Milo. Exactly. He's busy. I'm afraid we can't just take him off the job. Just have a shout, see if I can get anybody from upstairs. I've done one in those colours. Let's do one in different. Let's do this as very gentle colours. I think I might have attracted attention there. Subtle, wasn't it? Very subtle. Oh, well, now you mention it, I wouldn't have asked, but cup of tea, sugar, please. Excellent. That was good, wasn't it? It was very subtle. I don't think anybody could say that was anything but subtle. Right, so let's try this one. So again, I'm lining up, I've got my template here with a cross on, which lines up with these. I'm saying, you see, this is now a pattern, isn't it? Because I've made up a pattern. So if you put your lines in the middle so that you've got a centre of your block, so these are 4 inches each, line this up, then it will be in the same place on each piece of fabric. Okay. I doubt when I make this up that I will make it up with all the flowers even. I'll probably turn them on each block because we've got square. That's one nice thing about square blocks, is you do have infinite options when you're arranging them. Now I could do this with scissors, but to be honest with you, it worked so well with a knife. I'm disinclined to change. That's an interesting shape. I think the inside one is the one I want. Right, so let's go again with a bit of 505 to hold that together. Just stops it moving while I'm cutting. And where's my knife gone? These little knives with snap-off blades are brilliant because this blade is going to, I can already see it's blunt. I don't know how sharp it was when I started. As soon as you can see it's blunt, just get it changed. It's like your rotary cutter blades. You don't want to be working with blunt blades, and put your blades into a sharps jar. I'm not sure where mine is at the moment, but if I put it in with this rotary cutter, I can find it later. Just don't put them in the bin on their own, because you could cut the bin, men. 505. Hi, darling. And well, you'll be completely confused then about what I'm doing. Even more confused. Oh, hang on, I haven't got those very neatly together, have I? Let's try again. Let's try and get them so that they're actually on top of each other. Oh, that piece of fabric was right on the edge. Never mind. Probably going to trim them, almost certainly going to trim. Oh, great, let's just get on with it. Right, so a nice sharp knife. And it's cutting this beautifully. And I do think it's because of that backing paper. It's giving it something to bite into. You could do this with scissors. I did the first one with the rotary cutter. It was harder with the rotary cutter because you just haven't got the flexibility around these bends. Definitely not with a hot stencil cutter. You'd just burn the fabric. Now, you might want burnt fabric edges, but that's not what we're doing here. We're just chopping this out merrily and having a bash. What really we're learning to do is we're learning to just think on our feet and make stuff up and use our innate intelligence. Oh, yummy, cup of tea. Innate intelligence to work out how to do something. You know, you'll all have different backgrounds in stitching, I guess, but we've all got backgrounds in stitching. We've all picked up a lot of knowledge, so we can work it out. And if things go wrong, there's always a way of kind of putting it back together, particularly when you're using, I'm using Heat and Bond on this. Heat and Bond, a fabric heat adhesive or Bond to wear, particularly when you're using those. You can always stick it all back together again. It's just, I mean, I think that's why I like it so much. It allows you to work very, very, very spontaneously and without a plan. And I'm not very good at plans. I don't even really understand plans. My brain just goes into meltdown. As soon as I start reading or thinking about, well, I'm going to divide it like this, I just can't do it. I just need to kind of work through it and think, oh, right, okay, I can see how that will work. And you could too, because most of you are probably far better quilters and patchworkers than me. Have a try with a bit of Heat and Bond. It's a revolutionary feeling because you can't really, I don't have to think about how I'm going to put the, oh, those ones. Yes, they're lovely. They're made from, Jenny Rolfe and I did a kit a few years ago at festival for making them. Those are made out of paper and stitch. They're lovely, aren't they? Right, so we've got two more. You've got a bluey one and a blue and green one. I like those. Those look nice. I'm still kind of hankering after being able to put these. Oh, now, I could. At a pinch, I could, because when they're stuck down, I could, but it's easier if I don't. So don't, Hilary. Just don't. Do it with what you've cut. Be satisfied. You can put those in different places. Right, so there's two more. Let's go again. Let's do It's a pity I don't think I'll manage to cut more than two at a time and get any accuracy to these. So I'm not going to try. I'm going to, or am I? Should I try cutting four? Should I try cutting four? I shouldn't really, but I'll have a bash. You never know, might work. It might work. I know I can cut 4 with the rotary cutter in straight lines. It's whether I can cut 4 like this. And I have had another thought. Will my other thought work? I think it might. I'm not sure. I'm having thoughts all over the place. Thoughts everywhere. Ouch, that's hot. Gotta love a good thought. Right, so we need my guidelines. So I'm putting these really to mark the centre line of these blocks. And I can then put a bit sticky on there. Just hold this for a minute while I draw around. Don't need much for this because I'm just using it and drawing around it. I think that's easier than trying to cut round it in situ. So let's draw again around here. I doubt I'm going to get through 4 with a knife, but I'll have a try. It's quite a big ask for a knife, that, because what we're going through is actually 8 sheets of stuff. 4 paper, 4 sheets of heat and bond, and 4 bits of fabric. But in my world, I just think you never know till you try, so I'll try and I'll see. Okay, so let's have a go. So we've got a sharp knife, not that sharp. I can see I'm blunting it each time I go, but let's see. Anybody with kind of slightly weaker fingers, you'll have to do this in less pieces. Thank you, Emo. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Actually, I need to find out. You see, I like streaming on Facebook because I think it's the best place to stream, because I can interact, we can talk, there's no limits, don't get shut off, and it's just easy. But I just need to find out how to share that onto somewhere like YouTube, and I don't seem to be able to, and I suspect that I probably can't. If anybody knows that, how I can get a stream off Facebook and share it onto YouTube, or indeed Instagram, do please let me know. It seems unfair I can't share it on Instagram because it's owned by the same company as Facebook. Because I don't really want to stream on Instagram. Well, I don't mind streaming on Instagram, but I just know more people here, and we've got used to being here. And every time I move, every time I move the stream, I confuse people. So I'd like to keep it here. I did think, let me cut and think. I did think I could set up, because I have got my old iPhone. I changed iPhones to make sure that when I'm streaming, I don't lose, I've got enough space on my phone, because I take so many photos as well. My phone can get quite full. So this one that I've got now, that we're streaming on now, has a huge amount of gigabytes on it. But my old iPhone is perfectly good. And hasn't got photos on now, so I could use that. So I could set up 2 tripods and stream to, say, Instagram and Facebook at the same time. I just wonder how confused and confusing that might get. We'll have to try it. We'll try it sometime, see what happens. I can just see that being fantastically. Can you... But I know I can stream to Zoom. But it's the being able to actually then get that stream off wherever it is, and remember they're huge files, and get it onto my PC and share it elsewhere. That's the bit that's baffling me. I might try the 2 phones. I could do 1 phone to YouTube and 1 to Facebook, and then another week do 1 to Instagram and 1 to... Right, I need to find the live URL. You need to find the live URL, download it, then upload it to YouTube. Can be done. Amo, can you send me that, please, in either a message or an email? Because I'll lose it in these comments. I can probably work out what that actually means. Given a bit of time to think. Now, my blocks have moved a bit here, but I'm just mega impressed that that has cut through 4 layers of fabric. I think I need to blow my nose. My mum would tell me off for sniffing. Because that would be really nice, because I know not everybody likes Facebook and not everybody likes Instagram, and I think in the demographic that we are, probably more like, there's more of us on Facebook than Instagram, But YouTube is great for people that don't want to go on social media, and I can kind of understand that. Look at that, and this is going to give me 4 options. I'm going to have to blow my nose in excitement. Can you? Okay, Dorothy. Right. Where's my tissue box? Everybody, where's my tissue? Oh, I think I saw it on the floor yesterday. I think I saw it had slid through and onto the floor. Has it? Coming back, I am coming back. Oh, there it is. There it is. That's it. I'm so excited. I'm gonna have to blow my nose with excitement here. Oh, that was a. Oh, don't tell me this cough's coming back. Just when I got out, don't lock me down again. Right, okay. Oh, it's made my eyes water. So now I've got 4. Look. All these 4 will go together. I mean, I'll probably do them the way I had them because I liked that. But cutting 4 obviously gives me more options because these will all fit. So I could put the blue in there, which is the way I had it, but I could also put the blue in the green. You know, I can play with these and see how I like them. Let's try, what about the blue in that one? And that's a nice match, actually. Let's put the grey. No, don't like that, but I like that. So then it has to be then the green in there. And that there, and I can move those round. I've got options with those. Love those. Think they're great. That's really nice. I'm going to cut 4 again. Okay, 2, 3, 4. Now I need to make sure that I remember those are a foursome, not a twosome. Sounds a bit saucy, doesn't it? There we are, back to Mess and Tits TV again. Right, so let's pop that over there, and let's get another 4. Oh, I'll have to do another 4 and then a 2-er. There's 2 greens. Well, there's 2 greens in all of those actually. Not going to get many options there, am I? Not really, but I still might as well cut 4 together. Mightn't I? I might as well. Yes, I know, and I agree with you, and that can be a thing with Facebook. I think really what I've found is I just don't unfriend people or block them, but I unfollow them. And I must admit, anybody that puts up anything like I thought when Boris Johnson was ill, and whether or not I like Boris Johnson is completely my own business, but I did think, whether or not you like him, if I see any posts about hoping he dies from coronavirus, I'm blocking, because I'm just not interested in, and anybody that puts up things that are sort of so full of hatred and intolerance, I'm quite happy to block. But by and large, I just unfollow people who I find a bit depressing, and it can be a quite it's not necessarily a mentally healthful place to be, but it is good for streams. It's good for streams and videos of Milo. Hi Maggie, good. We're just having a lovely morning of Make It Up As We Go Along, my favourite thing. I just love Make It Up As We Go Along. I even like it when it all goes wrong. Even that makes me feel happy. Because I think, oh goody, challenge time. Let's see how I can work that one out. So we've got those, let's do it again. Line the template up so that we know it's in the same place as on the other blocks. I'm really glad we got into this. This wasn't remotely what I thought I was going to do. But I do so love going completely off piste and just the spontaneity of it all. That's the bit that's exciting, isn't it? I don't think I'd be as excited if I was following a pattern. I'd be more stressed, definitely, because there'd be rules. And it's just it's so freeing. And the more you work like this, the more confident you will get that you can sort out whatever might go wrong. Because you can. And you become actually very self-sufficient, which is good. Right, so, gosh, and it is a big fat badger, I've only just noticed it. Right, off we go. I'm going to change my knife blade because that's had That's cut 3 lots now, and we're going through a lot of paper and fabric there. And these replacement, I mean, I think the knives are only a couple of quid, and then the replacement blades, you get a pack of 10 replacements, and each replacement has, I'm not sure, 10, 15 blades in it. So they're so cheap, it's actually not worth hacking things up for the sake of a blade. Now, there's my pot. So treat yourself to some. I'm trying to think where I got these from. I'm sure if you Google snap-off knives is what they are, snap-off knives, and this is a little one. Oh, hang on, there's an email address on there. It's so tiny. Hang on. Silverline Tools. www.silverlinetools.com. I'll post that later because these are really good. They're the ones I have in the studio. They're not too big. They're small enough to kind of manipulate around a bit, but they're very, very sharp. And then you can get the packs of replacement blades, which you can just put in, and they'll last forever. And they just stop you. Doesn't your cutter get sticky? Well, yes, it does a little bit, Susanna. It does. There's no point denying that. But my cutting mat gets all sorts of horrible stuff done to it. It's got to be honest and say that my cutting mat gets quite abused, and I have found it's more resilient than people think it is. It doesn't look beautiful, but it still works. Probably I should put a sheet of paper or something there when I'm spraying, but you know what? It's never going to happen. So, nice sharp blade, off we go again, through 4. This is so impressive, this. This feels like a magic trick. Cutting 4 pieces of fabric with a knife. Who would have thought? And I love that, and Jill's going to come up with some explanation of this in a minute, but the fact that if I was cutting 4 pieces of fabric without the paper, it would be almost, would be impossible, I suspect. But you add 4 pieces of paper, and suddenly it's possible. So the paper makes it all possible. So there's more to cut through, but that bit of paper is the badger. And, well, I'm sure there's a reason for that. Surface tension, something like that. How to clean cutting board. The best stuff I've found cleaning my cutting board, to be honest, is one of 2. Fairy flower spray, power spray, or white cleaner. You know, Jif. White, what's it called? I mean, I still use it. I still think it's the best thing for cleaning in the kitchen. Cream cleanser. A bit of cream cleanser is very good. I don't clean mine very often, only if it's really manky. But Fairy Flower Spray, as always, does that job. Google it, says Jill. Come on, Jill. Why is the paper helping? Is it surface tension or smooth? It's something to do with the action of the knife on the paper, isn't it? Because it will cut the paper. Whereas I'm pretty sure if we just stacked fabrics, they'd be too soft, wouldn't they? It's making it stiff enough for a knife, maybe. Because it's nothing to do with the blade, because the same blade's on a rotary cutter, and on a rotary cutter it just rolls over. Stabilizer, friction. There they go. The girls. Actually, you could join in too, Susanna. You're good at this as well. You're good at this kind of scientific knowledge bit. Friction, stabilizer. Blimey. I'm just so amazed it works, and so happy. I'll be remembering this. So you can cut through up to 4 pieces of fabric with paint and dye on, and 4 layers of heat and bond with a knife, as long as your knife's sharp. Right, so that's another pile of 4 that again we can arrange. We're a bit more limited here because I've got 2 pieces of green in here. So on the basis that the green can't go in the green does have to go in these 2. I think I'd put that duller green in that deep one, probably. And this is a slightly brighter green in the blue. And then that one in there, perhaps. And that one in there. Lovely. Another set of 4. 2 more to do, and we're there, girls. 2 more to do. Right, so we'll just... Yeah, you're right, I am getting sticky on the board. I am. But it's kind of, I think it's coming off more or less just on my hands and stuff, you know, just there, gone. Exactly. Thank you, Alison. Ask the expert. Hey, ask the expert. I think you've got Fairy Power Spray. I mean, it just about gets anything off. You can cut them on your silhouette directly. Great idea. Great idea. Just what it's made for. Perfect. Cut them all out in your silhouette and then you can play around with the middles. And you could have anything that you want in the middle. I mean, I've gone for a flower because it's so easy. I could have had a cactus. I could have had a mushroom. I could have had a leaf. Nice leaf would be nice. I could have just had a square in the middle. Anything you want. Choose what you want. Just choose. The thing is, when you're working like this, anything is just about possible. You know, you could have a virus in the middle if you wish. You could draw the virus in the middle and cut that out and have loads of appliqued viruses, Jill. Soaking in the bath. I love that idea. Soaking your cutting board in the bath. It's kind of cute, isn't it? Where's your cutting board? It's having a bath. It's having a bath. Yeah, I always treat it to a bath on Saturdays. It gets tired, achy. So I put a little bit of Radox in, maybe some lavender oil, and just pop it in there for an hour or two and just let it have a relax. Loving that. Great idea. Great idea. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what sort of patterns you feel like doing, because we all have things that we like the shape of. I mean, I could have done donuts. I can't believe I haven't done donuts. Next time, there's got to be a donut quilt in this somewhere. There's got to be a donut quilt in lockdown. I'm in love with donuts, and having discovered that donuts are all over 1950s fabric, I'm in heaven. Right, okay, last one. Try not to speak like a Yorkshireman. I've lived in Yorkshire for years. Why do I still say, I suppose it's what you grow up with, isn't it? Last. I listen to myself sometimes and think, oh, I'm rough. And then I say something like, oh, that's super. And I think, not so rough then. Crumpets in the middle of your blocks. No reason why not. It softens it up again. Oh, that's a good idea. Donuts, crumpets. Yes, got you. I'm meaning donut shapes, but we're on a food gig now. We're on scones, cream, donuts with mock cream and a dollop of jam. Yep, okay, crumpets. Yep. Could have macaroons, budgies. You could use an image from one of your stencils or something. And there's loads of copyright-free design sources around. My flower looks a bit odd at the moment, but it'll look better when I've stitched it, because of course I'll put the petals back in. You know, as I'm cutting it out, it's lost the detail. When it's stitched, of course that won't work, will it? 'Cause it's back to front. But when it's stitched, all this middle information will be put in the bottom of the petals and things. So don't worry about the fact, if you've done something like this, that it looks a bit bizarre to begin with, because it will. All will come well when you stitch it. Good. Now I can go on to my other thought, which I'm not sure whether it's going to work or not, my other thought, but you know, I'm loving having it. I do like having a thought. Red blood cells, absolutely, they always do me. Ring donuts always make me think of red blood cells. It's just one of those things, isn't it? Ring donut, red blood cell. Well, you could do blood cells. I'm sure you're going to do a virus on yours, Jill. I'm sure you're going to have a virus motif going on. And one day, can you imagine in 200 years, you know how we have the Quilters Guild and they collect, like, say, the Red Cross quilts, or the Canadian Red Cross, or, you know, quilts that were made at certain times. There will be the virus quilts made in 2020, and ours will be a large selection of them. Right, I'm really happy with those. So those are my toers, those are my forers. Now, what's on my mind now is, okay, this will be very nice like this. I can just move these around, space them about, and position my blocks, you know, so that I've got a nice variety. And I could just do it like that, and I'm quite happy with that. I'm just wondering whether I could cut them in half What happens if I cut it? No, I can't because the flower's not symmetrical. I was thinking I could cut it in half. Yes, I could. Where's the other one that goes with this? Oh, look. Who's messed up my flipping system? Was that me? Is that my system? Hang on. That goes with that. But hang on. What's going on here? Look, that's it. That's it. That's the system. So if I put these in a pile and cut them all in half. No, I can't. Because... And I then put a green background and a beige flower here. Green background, beige flower here. And beige background, green flower there. I think I'd get reverses. I need to just find a place to cut the blocks. Now, I could either do it straight down the middle, or I can do it through. Straight down the middle's the most obvious, isn't it? So if we start, this could go wrong. This is another point. Viruses are very pretty. Cells are very pretty. All those kind of scientific things are exceptionally pretty. This could go wrong, girls, but I'm kind of thinking, you know that Notan, black and white reversing. Sort of thinking I could make this even more interesting, or possibly not, by chopping it. So I'm putting two that go together. And I'm going to have a look where the midline is. Don't have to cut on the midline. I mean, that's quite a nice line. That's 3 3/8 inches. I won't go for 3 3/8 inches because that's just an annoying amount. Where's 3 inches? That's quite a nice line, but it only puts a tiny bit over there. 4 inches is our middle. And goes straight through the middle of the flower. But do I want them split in 4 inches? Do you know me? It's very even, isn't it? Well, yeah, 4.5. You see, if I'm not going to go central, then I want to go to a point somewhere. That's kind of what's on my mind, but that doesn't work. 3.5 is quite nice. That's just slightly off center. And that would give me blocks that are not, excuse me, I have to blow my nose again. I've definitely got a drippy nose today. Maybe too much going out. Do this every time when you get better from something. You think, yeah, yippee, I'm better. Off you go. Make yourself poorly again. If I do it like this, my blocks, I think I'm going to do it in the middle because it's going to make it easiest for moving things around on the quilt. Because then I keep it all so that I can move things. Things are even. And bearing in mind, I don't know what I'm doing here. I think that's a good plan. So let's go for that. So I've got my blocks lined up and my flowers lined up, and I've got my ruler on 4 inches, checking I've got it in the right place. This could so easily go round. I have got the other line on the back. That is true. But I kind of feel I want to see these fabrics here. And if you've got a quilting ruler, I can still get that 4 inches. So here we go. Let's see what happens. In for a penny, in for a pound. Cut, then think. Here we go. All that can happen is it goes wrong. But I think it might be quite interesting. So I'm going to take that top and put it there. Can you see what I'm doing here? Let's tip you a bit. I can't really see. That's better, isn't it? That top and put that there. And then I'm going to take this top and put that there. Oh, I say superb. God, I'm clever. Gosh, I'm so clever. How interesting is that? I mean, I don't know if I like that any better particularly. I just think it's interesting, isn't it? It was just fun to do. And of course I could do it. It's got to be done, hasn't it? I can do it the other way. Diagonal. Behave yourself, Maggie. Behave yourself. Diagonal would actually be very interesting with these blocks because it kind of go through the points of the, that would have been interesting. Too late now, but it would have been interesting. I'm going to do that again. What would be better next time is if I do it when they're all piled up at once, rather than trying to get them all back straight now. But anyway, you know me, no need to do things sensibly. So we're going to turn them this way. So I want one, I just love making things up. Particularly gratifying when it works, isn't it? So what am I going to do here? Let's put this one on top as well. What's going to be nice about this and the last throw that we've made, that we haven't finished yet, well, Jill has, but most of us haven't, is they're going to be completely unique. They have to be, because we're just making it all up. That's what's so nice. That's why I like it. Right. Okay, so that's pretty interesting, isn't it? And those are all neat. Right, so I'm going to chop it again, girls. You know, having succeeded once, let's go for it all over again. So 4 inches. They're neat, they're together, they're tidy. I should probably next time use my 404, 505 even. 2, 3, 4. There we go. I'm checking that I'm in the right spot. Let's go for it this way. So, 1. A bit higher. 1. 2. And then these go the other way. 3. And if you don't feel confident about cutting the whole lot at once, you don't have to. Oh my goodness me, it's so cute. Isn't that cute? Am I on camera there? I hope I am, because that is just so cute. That is a really cute pattern. And I could have done this. I mean, I'm sure there's some quilting pattern that's similar to this, that, you know, where you've just cut triangles in the middle and reversed it. But it's quite cute with a motif in the middle, isn't it? Those are going to look so cute. So what we need to do now is, yeah, dead chuffed with those, is I need to make sure these pretty much stay together, don't I? Now, I've got 12.5-inch squares cut there, which are absolutely no use for 8-inch pieces of felt, of stuff. I need some more felt. I think I used the whole piece last time, didn't I? That's not much help to me. I might have to go and find some felt. Just a few minutes, girls. Oh, hang on. Oh, hang on. This looks hopeful. This looks hopeful. I've got some here. Right, turn the iron on. Close your rotary cutter. I'm going to iron these on as I go, because I don't want to get them all mixed up. And I've now got 8 16 pieces here. So, take the backing off. Hi Milo, are you having a break? Do you need out? Milo, do you want poos and wees? You want poos and wees, little boy? Yes, you do. Good boy. Let's let you out here. Good boy. Oh, he's a good chap. Oh, he's just going to go and just try and do some of them. Good boy. It's just the duty officer coming down for a toilet break. Right. So I need to get these on here. Straight as I can. Yeah, I was just letting Milo out because he came down. In fact, I might iron them a bit at a time just to make sure they stay there. I could cut these, and it would be quite useful if I did, into 8-inch squares. I might do that in a minute. That might be easier. I'm just being lazy here. Oh, I see. As soon as you iron it down, doesn't it look beautiful? is that, yes, see me getting this wrong. Right, so you just peel the backing off. Put this on here. God blimey. This is going to look bloody fabulous. Gonna love this. So I've done these with 8-inch squares, but they could have been 9-inch squares, they could have been 12-inch squares like the first one. It doesn't matter. They'll all just make different sizes. To me, I would just go by what suits the fabrics I've got left, really. And if you've used all your fabric for your first throw, you know the answer, don't you? Get some new. This is a bit like a sort of star quilt. It won't be when I've stitched it. That's shifted a bit. Let's get that tucked back in where it should be. It won't be when I've stitched it, but it looks a bit like that at the moment. Just stick that on there. You all right? Yes, I'm fine. I know he's coming to chase, coming to tell me about the time. I know what he's doing. He's saying it's past 1 o'clock. Past 1 o'clock. I know. And I know I said these would be an hour, but it would have been if we hadn't. Well, we'd had the chat about soda ash, which was flipping interesting. That was a useful chat. And honestly, I mean, it's just been exciting. I don't know that you can. The trouble is, I think in an hour. Well. In 45 minutes, you've got to be very pre-planned, haven't you? You've got to know what you're going to do, and I very rarely do. So we might get some 45-minute ones when I know what I'm going to do. But you've got to have time. Spontaneous thinking takes time. Having ideas takes time. This is so pretty. I'm going to do one more because I want to see. I don't care what it says. I want to see one of the blue and brown ones too. Constructing like this with a fabric heat, what do you call it? Heat transfer adhesive. I never know what it's called. Anyway, heat and bond or Bondaweb really does make it very easy to work these things out. I don't think you could piece this, not unless you were, you'd have to applique it. I don't think that's a pieceable curve. Because of the bits going in, I think that would be almost impossible to piece this block. You could do it with angles, you could do it by chopping more pieces up, but I wouldn't want to do that. This is gonna look so smooth when it's done. It's just going to look really smooth. And that's what I want. So, put that down there. And that's fitted together beautifully. And again, I'll be stitching over all these seams to make sure that they're strong and there. But they're because Heat and Bond and Bondaweb, they're not permanent adhesives. They're pretty permanent when you don't want them to be, believe me. But they aren't designed to be permanent, they're designed to be stitched. Oops. Oh, my board's got a bit raised. That's because I'm ironing. Oh, hang on. Got a bit of a non-stick there. Let's have that back down. What's going on there? What's wrong with those bits? It's their problem. You shouldn't be ironing on your cutting board. I'll just say that. Don't iron on your cutting board. You shouldn't be. I don't know what's happening here. I think just the heat, I'm reheating them and pulling them back up again. So I'm very happy with that. I'm going to cut that out with a little bit of extra. Yeah, don't do it on your cutting board because you see what I've done, but mine, it will recover. I know it will recover because I've done. That was probably Barn Yarns phoning. Typical. They phone when I'm busy. So got the other one there. I'll stick that down in a minute because I really want to try one with a bit of with higher colour variation. So I'm just going to turn the iron off for a minute. And yeah, that's where I've just been a bit naughty with my cutting board and heated it up so it's gone a bit sort of, but it'll sort itself out. So let's do one. Oh, mind that blue and green's gorgeous. That's really pretty. I need to make sure I keep these in pairs. Oh, hang on, that's odd. That one. Ah, because these are in 4s, aren't they? These are in 4s. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Let's do this one because it's got high contrast. But I need to do it with another. Oh, now, hang on a minute. In these 4 ones, I'm going to have to think that one out because where I've cut them in 4s, actually, I think I have, as it happens, chosen. Yes, I have the reversing fabric. So I need to get those together. And let's do this a bit more sensibly this time. Just do it in one cut. You know, and I'm cutting this with a ruler into 4-inch, but I could free cut this if I wanted to, like that, and repiece it. No reason why I shouldn't, because this is all on adhesive. It'll all go back down however I want it to. So let's put that in there. There. And that's just because I want to see how it looks with a higher contrast piece. I'm checking I've got my 4 inches, and I have. What Maggie was saying about going diagonally, it would look really quite, well, will look very exciting too. You'd split the fabric like that. If you're going to do something like that, just be a little bit, get it stuck down fairly quickly because you're on a bias of the fabric and you will get a little bit of stretch there. So just go carefully if you're going with that idea, because biases will stretch. The heat and bond will stop that to a degree, but it can still happen, so go carefully. So I'm going to cut this time while it's all here, all at once. Okay. So move that up. We're going to have that and that, that and that. Now this looks nice where the contrast is high. Exciting. That and that. And that and that. Very, very, very nice. Very nice. Completely different look to this one. Whoops. This one's very gentle looking, that mix, isn't it? It'll come up more when I stitch this flower, and I may stitch these flowers, I don't know yet, but I may stitch them in darker thread to actually bring the flower motif up. I'm not sure, I just think that looks really nice. This one, much more bold, because we've got a much bolder colour mix. It's lovely, really lovely, love those. They look gorgeous. So I'm going to do exactly the same with those, stick them down. So let's just put that one up at the top, it's going to be done, and stick it onto my felt. That's there. Let's get the felt again. That's a nice corner. Take your adhesive off and get it stuck down. It is a happy whistle coming from the kitchen, yes. Yeah. Yes. He's a happy man. He's just, you know, he's at home. Yesterday he got all the moss and stuff off the roofs, you know, one of those happy jobs. Putting wires up on the fence for my climbers. All that sort of stuff. Not to mention packing loads and loads and loads of orders. He's also been doing all of that. So yes, that was a happy whistle. Well spotted, Louise. Right, in goes that one. We'll get them down one at a time. Just because I've got such, I've got quite confused elements here and they need to be precise. But this is really making good use of the fabric. There's no double up of fabric here. Even though this will look a bit like an applique, it isn't. It isn't. So we haven't, whoa, don't do that and stick that to the underneath. Idiot. Yeah, you need to turn your iron on. Heat and bond, the clue's in the heat bit, really. It works a lot better if you turn your iron on, actually. Right. And we could, with this one, possibly look at, I'll have a think whether I want to or not, because that's, whoa, that doesn't fit so well. It's in the right place, I think. It's just not, yeah, it is in the right place. It's just a slight miscut, but never mind. Right, we'll make that work. Let's see what we need to do. Let's just plan it out. Let's get it on and plan it out. I must have cut slightly inaccurately. Who would believe it? Who would believe it? That's okay. It's just that little budget. It's a bit long here, but that doesn't matter, does it? Because we can overlap that with the next bit. So that's okay. We'll line that up. Are we going to have a strange... a strange interlock there? I think we are, but it doesn't matter, does it? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. What was I going to say? No idea. Yes, the felt can be washed. One of the reasons I don't use pure wool felt, gorgeous though it is because it will shrink too much when being washed. But yes, the felt's washable. Don't put it in a boiling hot wash. I'm only going to use a cool wash on these. I'm assuming anything here is going to go in probably for me a 30-degree short wash, and it will be fine. The felt is wool and viscose. Well, viscose is very washable. Wool, not so much so, but just go gently. You can wash wool, just go gently with it. If you think when I'm blocking stuff, I completely soak the felt with water and it's fine. It's one of the reasons I like it, is it is just so very stable. It's a really good felt mix. Just melting my ironing board, my cutting board again. But that's because I would need to get seriously rearranged to sort that issue out. It would mean moving all my little blocks, and I will do it, but not now. And my cutting boards are used to this. They've had it for years. I don't have a cutting board in my possession that I haven't ironed on at some point. I wouldn't think. I'm not suggesting that it's a good idea. I'm just admitting it's what I do. And life hasn't ended. That's the good thing. Life has not ended. Oh, what does that say down there? Anne-Marie didn't know the... Yes, felt. Yes, the felt's washable. Don't wallop it through a 90-degree 3-hour with pre-wash wash, because the whole thing will come out a bit bedraggled. Very, very quick wash, so something like a silk wash on a very light temperature. Oh yes, this block's really gone off piece with its matching, but I don't care. I ain't bothered. By the time I've stitched it, I might even stitch it in black. It might look quite exciting, or I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what I'm going to do? Yeah, I was thinking with this one, I could show you how to add some sort of pieces in between. So we make it like sashing. We could make sashing areas. That could be quite good fun. We could make the blocks first. We'll make the blocks first. Make some sash, because we can easily do this. All we would do, let me iron this down. Actually, it is matched up. I'm being stupid. Oh no, it isn't. That line isn't straight there. Bollocks to that. Bollocks to that, girl. How can that have happened? I got the flower the wrong way round. Wouldn't surprise me if I have. No, the I not? Anyway, I have done, so I'm not going to bother about it. I'm just going to stick it down. Really, what I need to do is shift all of those up, and then it would all line up. And I might do that later because the heat and bond will come back up. So there's 2 blocks now, and I could make, what I'm thinking is another thing that we could do maybe on Saturday, and that is the next stream this time, is we could look at making panels to go in here. So we're going to have 4 of these, but we could put panels, you know, could use some of our elements here that we've got left to make strips, either whole strips, or we could make some pieced pattern strips. I'll have a think about that for next time. But so next time I will have all these done up. We'll have a look at stitching these, how we're going to stitch these, but it's going to be very, very similar. So we'll have a look at stitching those, and I think we will. Maybe we'll think about making some panels in the middle, or maybe we'll start our journal, or maybe I'll actually make a scrap one. Maybe I'll make a scrap one. Who knows what I'll do? I'll definitely do something. So trying to get my days right. Today is Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, girls and boys. Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. The next day is Friday. So Saturday will be the next public stream. I will have all these for you to see. I'll probably go over stitching again because that's quite useful. And I think we'll start and make something with the scraps. We'll make something scrappy. I don't know what I fancy making really. I could make lots of things with the scraps. I must admit, it's hard for me to resist. I do fancy making just some sort of panel to go on the wall. So we could do that. So we'll have a look at that next time. That's okay. I'm going myself. See you on Saturday. I'll try and get the day right. The felt is a wool viscose mix. It's, I believe the one I have is 70% viscose, 30% wool. So the viscose gives it washability and ease of use. The wool just gives it this nice, soft flexibility. But you could do any of this if you've got wadding. You can do it onto wadding. You can have it much more heavily wadded than me. I like my things nice, flat and smooth. You know, you might prefer to have this with quite heavy wadding underneath, so you've got much more puff when you quilt it. Okay, you are welcome. We'll see you, Mips, I'll see you on Friday. I'll try and get a grip on the days. And I'll see the rest of you on Saturday. So have a go at something like this because it's another fun way. If you've run out of fabrics, get dyeing some more. I'll label the streams. I need to label the streams. Oh, and I'm going to open a group for posting stuff in. So I'll put a link up for that and you'll need to come and find it. Right, okay. I'm going to go and do all those things with a cup of coffee now before I forget them all. You're welcome, my lovelies. You're welcome, Dorothy. And I will see you. My Mips should be so busy, their heads are falling off. That's what I reckon they should be. So I will see you on Saturday and I will try and post the right day. But if I post the wrong day, ignore it. I will be streaming on Wednesdays and Saturdays unless I specifically say not. Okay, see you all soon. Thanks. See you all soon, girls. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Enjoy the sunshine. Bye now. Bye.